Hey everyone, welcome back to the course. So in this video, we're going to show you a brief demonstration of using Linux. So we're basically going to be creating some users and we'll also create a group and then we'll add those users to that group. So this is really just to kind of show you some fundamental things you might be doing as a system administrator. So this just gives you an idea of some of the commands you might use in Linux. Now, in the real world, we typically don't individually create a user, so we won't be coming to the command line and doing this, but I wanted to just show you some basic Linux commands. So first things first, we need to get root on this machine. So we're going to put in our su space dash and then the password here, and we get root on the machine. Next, we're going to use the user add command to create our user Tamika. All right, next up, we're going to go ahead and create a password for Tamika. In this case, we're just going to use a password with a capital P and use a 0 instead of an O. Because we're using a dictionary word, it's going to give us this message. We don't care about that because we're in a virtual machine lab environment. Typically, you'd obviously want a stronger password. So now we've created a password for Tamika. So next, we're going to set an expiration date for the account we just created. We're going to use a user modification command here, and we're just going to specify a date near the end of 2021 for our account Tamika. All right, so next we can go ahead and enter a command to actually lock the user account. So let's say that Tamika was a contractor doing some auditing or something, and now that she's done with her audit, we want to lock her account so she can no longer access it. So we're going to use user modification, do the dash capital L command, and then we'll use her name to lock that particular account. We can also force her password to expire immediately. So using the chag command here, we can force that user account password to expire immediately. And then if we want to delete out Tamika's account, we can go ahead and use the user delete command, and that will delete that particular user account. All right, so next let's go ahead and create some new users here. So we're going to use the user add command again. And this time we're going to create a user called Monty. We're going to be creating 3 users here, and then we'll add them to a new group that we create. So we use user add Monty. The other 2 users are going to be Bob and Allison. So just like we did with Tamika, we're going to use user add. We'll put the specify the name of the user, which in this case is Monty, and then we'll also go ahead and create a password for this user account. So if you recall, we use a password command here and then just specify the user account. It's going to ask us for the new password. Again, we're just going to use that password with a capital P and the number 0 instead of an O. Because it's a dictionary word, as I mentioned before, we're going to get that error message, and then we just confirm that same password. Again, we're using a weak password here because it doesn't really matter since we're in a lab environment. So next up, let's create our user account, Bob. So user add command again, then Bob, and then we'll go ahead and create his password as well. And to do that, we just use a password command, put the user account there. It's going to ask us for the new password. We're going to use that exact same password for the password. We'll get our same error message here, and we'll retype that same password in. So now it's gone ahead and created Bob's account. So finally, we're going to go ahead and create Allison's user account. So the same thing here, user add command using Allison, and then same password that we'll create for Allison as well. All right, so we'll type in our password command here. We'll specify the user account again, type in that same password again, password with a capital P with a 0 instead of an O, and we'll go ahead and confirm our password. And then now we've created that for Allison. So we've created our Monty, Bob, and Allison user accounts. The next thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and create that group. And then, like I said before, we're going to add those 3 users we just created to the group. So to create the new group, we're going to use the command group add. We're going to specify a group number, which in this case is 11,000. And then we'll specify a group name, which in this case, we'll just do Cybrary. All right, so we've created the group. Now we're going to add each of those users to the group. So we're going to use that user modification command again, and we're going to do the add group, and we'll name the group, which is Cybrary, and then we'll specify the user that we want to move into that particular group, which in this case is Monty. And we're going to follow the same step for every single one of our users. Now, one thing we can do with the command line, we can just press the up arrow and it'll bring back the previous command. So we don't have to type all that in again. We can just change the name for the different user accounts. So in this case, we'll type Bob in there, and that'll create and add Bob to that user group that we just created. And then we'll do the up arrow again, and we'll go ahead and add Allison into that group too. All right, so we've added the users in there, but we can't really tell, right? So we need to figure out how can we identify that these users have actually been added to the group. What we're going to use is the ID command for each of these users and just confirm. Now, what you're going to notice here is Monty's a part of a couple of different groups, but you notice group 11,000 Cybrary is also a group that Monty's in, and that's the one that we just added Monty to. So we know we were successful there. Same thing with Bob. We see that group 11,000 or Cybrary is a group that Bob is a part of, and same with Allison as well. So we know that we were successful in adding these users to that new group that we had created. Now, let's say that we want to create the group or delete a group without actually deleting those user accounts. We just want to remove them from the group. We can do that. We can do that with the group delete command. So we're going to type in group delete and then just specify the group we want to delete, and that will delete the Cybrary group from our system. And again, we just want to check our work. So we're going to use that ID command again and just see what groups these users are a part of to confirm that they've been removed from that Cybrary group. So we ID Monsi here. We see that no longer is Monsi a part of that Cybrary group because again, we just deleted that group. Same thing with Bob. You don't see that Cybrary group anymore. And again, if we test Alice here, you'll also see that there is no group Cybrary for that Alice is assigned to anymore. So in this video, just showed you some basic Linux commands you can do. We just created some new users, added those users to a group, deleted a user, and also deleted a group. These are just some very basic commands, but it gives you a little taste of some of the things you might be doing as a system administrator.